The first trick that we'll be talking about today is a basic frog. So that is basically just your handstand snap down, all the same form, all the same technique that we've already talked about, and now we're just holding the rope and incorporating it. The only difference between this and a real or advanced frog is that we're not actually pulling the rope under our feet before we land. So Nick is going to demonstrate. Perfect. Can you do one to the side also? Good. So you can see, again, he used all the same form and technique, flat back, tight abs, all of that, snapped down, and then just held the rope and jumped after he landed.
Our next trick we're going to get into is an advanced frog. I'm going to have Kaylee show this, please. Good, one more time. Good, so as you see with this trick, everything stays true from the basic frog, having a nice flat back, nice tight stomach. The only difference is we're going to pull the rope under, and the way we can do that is really pushing through our shoulders so we get the explosiveness that we need to pull it underneath. So if you are working with your athletes and trying to get them to kind of understand this one, what you can do is have them drop the rope. I'm going to put my rope down on the ground, and we want to try to make sure that their feet can land as close to where their hands used to be. So I'm going to have Kaylee kick up to a handstand with her fingertips close to my rope, and then we're going to see how close her feet can get back to where the rope is or where her hands used to be. Snaps down. Good. So relatively close, because the closer you can be to the rope, the easier it's going to be as far as a marker right here, so that whenever you use your rope and you do a frog, when you pull it down, if you can get your feet back to where your hands were, or at least close, you'll be able to have a more successful frog.
Our next progression is going to be a frog with a cross. So this is just an advanced frog landing in a crisscross. Good. So you can see that Nick really made sure to cross low and by his hips. A lot of kids that are trying this trick will start by crossing up here by their chest, and that's going to make the rope too short. So we really want to make sure that we cross by our hips, and then also use your wrists to flick the rope through and around your head. So those are really the main 2 points to remember. We'll have Nick demonstrate one more time and see if you can watch his wrists. Perfect. All right, and that is a frog with a cross.
Our next trick we're going to get into is a two-footed frog. I'm going to have Kaylee show this really quick. Good. So as you can see, when we start this one, we start with a frog. We come down, we snap down, having that great form, getting our feet underneath us. This is when we transition into the two-footed frog. So with this one, we're going to take off of 2 feet. Once you take off of 2 feet, it's super important to make sure that your hips come up and you go straight down. You want to go up and down with this trick, because if you shoot out, it's going to be harder for you to actually hold this angle and snap it down. All right. So I'm going to have Kaylee put her rope down. She's going to come over here, so she's going to kick up to a handstand. When she snaps down, she's going to make sure that as she snaps down, her chest comes up a little bit. She's going to load back up and try to stay in the same spot if she can for her two-footed frog. Good. And so once you can get all the way up there, you get your hips up there, you maintain that same body position with a flat back and tight stomach. Make sure that you squeeze your shoulders so that you can hold yourself, and then from there you're going to snap down like normal, pull the rope through, and then you have completed your two-footed frog.
Our next trick is a double under frog. We're going to have Nick demonstrate this one for us. Good. So a lot of the same techniques and tips as we talked about with the two-footed frog will hold true for this frog as well. So same loading up, getting your hips up, things like that. Now the only differences are that we need to go a little bit higher in order to give ourselves time. And then on the way to your hands in the two-footed frog, we need to get into a ball position or a tucked position so that the rope can actually travel all the way around the body and not get stuck on anything. And then once that happens, it's really just about trusting yourself to catch in that handstand and then be able to snap back down. So I'm gonna have Nick actually drop his rope for a second, and we're gonna show you a drill that's pretty helpful for people that are learning this trick. I'm gonna have Nick do a handstand snap down or a regular frog first, and then on the two-footed frog portion, he's actually gonna slap his hips on the way up, mimicking the double under part of the double under frog. Good. So if you notice, he completed that slap well before he was on his hands, giving himself plenty of time to complete that double under. This is really good to do just to increase kids' confidence and to teach their bodies what to do with their hands when they actually have the rope in their hands for the double under frog. The next trick that we will talk about is a one-handed frog. I'm going to have Nick demonstrate this one. Perfect. So once you're sure that you have the strength in that one arm to hold yourself up, you're ready to start at least trying this trick. First thing that you want to do is just make sure that you can actually go into a handstand on that one arm without any explosion. And after that, start working on exploding through that shoulder. Once you can explode and you're ready to start trying with the rope, you want to think about several technique things that will help you out. You want to make sure that you center your weight over the hand that you're on, okay? So to do that, you open up your chest and you extend through that opposite hip. So if I'm on my right hand, I'm going to extend through my left hip. And also reach out with my left hand to center the weight over the right hand. That also allows the rope to have tension on it so that we have something to pull from. That hand then starts the rotation of the rope, and as you pop off of your shoulder, you just finish that rotation all the way through with your left hand. So we'll have Nick demonstrate one more time. Good. And you see he opened up his chest, he reached forward with his left hand, and centered his weight on his right shoulder to complete the one-handed frog.
Our next trick we're going to get into is a frog double under. So I'm going to have Kaylee show this trick for us. Good. So with this trick, we start off like a normal frog. And then from there, instead of having the rope come under once, of course, we're now going to make it come under 2 times. So to make this one work, we have to get a bigger pop through our shoulder so we can get the initial launch into the air. Once she's started to come down and she's pushed off, she wants to make sure she gets into a ball. Okay, so we can be tucked enough to get the rope all the way through. And the last thing is actually using her wrist to flick the rope through. It's super important to get the rope through as fast as possible because a lot of times athletes will try to go slow in the first one and then speed it up, and by that time, you're already to the ground. So the quicker we can flick through, the easier this trick can become as you get used to it. So I'm gonna have Kaylee show it one more time from the side. Good. So once again, pushing through the shoulders, getting into a ball, flicking through should help you get that frog double under. Our next trick we're going to get into is a backwards frog, also known as a sunny D. Thanks, Sunwin, for making this trick up. So Kaylee's going to show this trick for us really quick. Good. So as you can see with this trick, she gets up into her handstand. Rope's going to kind of sit underneath her. From there, she's going to use her shoulders. She's going to pop off, get a big pop from that. After that, she's going to get into a ball. Once she gets into her ball, the rope's going to kind of flick out, come all the way around her so that she can finish it all the way to the ground. Now, the reason she gets into a ball super quickly is to give her enough time to finish the revolution before she lands. I'm going to have her show it one more time. Good. And that is our backwards frog, also known as a sunny D. Once again, thanks, son.
Next progression that we're going to get into is a frog into a TJ, also known as an insano, and Nick actually made this trick up several years ago. So what this trick is basically a frog landing in a TJ. We're going to have Nick demonstrate. Nice. So basically what he's doing as he's coming down, we're going to show you in slow motion in just a second, but it is a double under TJ, or a toad and then an open. So let's just see a toad and an open. 1, 2, perfect. So those are the two things that are happening on the way down. So let's see that in a double under. Perfect. So you can see how high he had to jump just to make that happen in the air, right, regularly. That should tell you how hard you have to push off of your shoulders when you're coming down from a handstand and making that same thing happen on the way down. So tips for this one, really just push explosively through your shoulders like we've seen in the past couple of tricks that we've done. And then as soon as you can, you're gonna wanna try to get into that TJ position, right? So reach under your legs as soon as you possibly can. And then at the very end, you wanna follow through with your wrists, making that full complete circle to finish out the trick.